Very much, Cathaoirleach. And Minister, you're very welcome to the Senate this evening, and I want to wish you all the very best in your role. So this programme for government is no different to the last one, commits to work tirelessly alongside stakeholders, advocates, families, departmental officials to ensure that the commitments made under the programme for government are not just words on paper but actions with impact. And as my colleague Senator Margaret Murphy O'Mahony spoke about, when Taoiseach Micheál Martin instructed the move of disability services from the Department of Health to the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth, he did that on the basis that all of us have health issues and people with disabilities themselves had health issues. So that's why it should have moved over to the department. And that move symbolised far much more than just a move from one department to the other. It was a move of clear leadership that we understand the people with intellectual disabilities, people with physical, sensory and acquired disabilities, they all have rights issues. Rights to housing, right to education, right to employment, right to inclusion in the community, disability services, social protection, health support and cultural. So, Minister, the role of the next National Disability Strategy I see as the most important transformative piece of policy work that this government will do. It is cross-government, cross-departmental, cross every minister's desk, cross every Secretary General's desk. So it is imperative that when the National Disability is stood up, and you as Chair, and I wish you all the very best as Chair within it, that actually the tangible measures that are outlined within it, within the framework document, and I hope it still continues to sit under the pillars of housing, employment, and we hold the various departments to account. We heard in your opening contribution that 3.2 billion is allocated to the HSE. 3.2 billion. You do not have another penny of access into any other department. The only funding that you have outside of that 3.2 billion is 3.5 billion that is allocated to the DPAF funding programme. That's the Disability Awareness Participation Fund. And for the last 3 years, that would be the definition of green shoots into the other departments. The definition of green shoots of where there has been 40 allocated projects in conjunction with Rethink Ireland, outside the departments, outside of officialdom, outside of interference of anybody. The departments will now be able to pick up the 40 green shoots, and the other 18 you will get to announce in June that are being allocated as we speak in time. So it is right across when we talk about employment, when we talk about sport. So the No Barriers, who was late in receiving their grant funding, was allocated 389,000 previously under Rethink. The Together Academy, where people with Down syndrome, where we have level 3s being allocated so they can make their pathway through education. All of those are there. The reason they are there, Minister, is that you can actually ensure that other departments allocate funding to step it up and deliver it out. One of the most burning issues, being a rural senator, and you being from the West as well, Minister, would understand the role of transport. And it has been discussed here, be it from our colleagues there in Sinn Féin, who talked about 17 million being spent on transport. Transport is a big issue if you can't access it, which is a huge issue in the west of Ireland. And it's a huge issue in Kerry, it's a huge issue in Cork. And that's why a number of years ago we would have allocated 5 million under transport services. Transport to ensure that people could have access to it. And I know that at the moment, within your own department, 3.5 million has been allocated for the upgrade or new vehicles. Find that disappointing in the sense that we need to look outside at how we can provide not just what the local link does, curb to curb. We need to go door to door where the PA can bring a person into their front door. The Galway Centre of Independent Living Movement had a really good project on that, but didn't seem to make it through there in December come January. The other part that hasn't made its way through and should make its way through because it's part of Rethink is the Wayfinding Centre. The Wayfinding Centre was allocated 89,000 as to how to train people use transport services. Just not too far from here in the old glass bottle site I think, is where it is located. It's in Minister O'Donoghue's constituency, that much I do know, but it's actually where we have a bus, we have a dart, we have even an aeroplane there, where people with disabilities or acquired disabilities can learn to use these services. There's still funding within that transport grant of 400,000. It would be wonderful that the staff that have been trained up to train people who come to use it, that they would get their funding, and that is really a plea from me. And the final piece, and my last contribution with the little bit of tolerance from the Chair, one project that was worked on, which went cross departments, was from the Department of Health and the Department of Transport under the stewardship of Minister Ryan at the time. It was the Mobility Recycle programme, where between the two departments trikes were bought, and in actual fact one of the trikes went to Beaufort in County Kerry. And those trikes were where people with individual needs are in schools, where children had low muscle tones. The whole purpose of it was, and we all talk about it, we don't have enough physiotherapists, but if you can get a child on a bike or on their greenway, they can improve their muscle tone. So in actual fact, it's not just pulled out of a pot, it has actually worked in conjunction with it. And Minister, that's in the base, but unfortunately it's not been released at the moment to the Variety organisation.